There's this woman that came to our neighborhood during that time, and she quickly became friends of the family because then I was staying with my dad and my stepmom. She came to me and told me that I can be buying things in wholesales, and if I like it, she would like to take me to where she's getting in wholesales. So I told her that I'm not sure I have that kind of money, so I didn't really buy her idea. Then she used my stepmom. She went to meet my stepmom. I didn't know. It was later on that I found out. And my stepmom called me and told me that there's a lady that came to their place, that she's taking one lady to along, that they want to go to abroad to go and bring goods. That if I do that, I will be buying directly like how the Lagos people are buying. I told the woman that I don't have passport and I don't know how to get one. So she said I should not worry, that I should just give her 50,000 naira, that she will get it on express for me.
Yes. Where did she say you were traveling to?
Egypt. So now we're going to Tripoli. They dress us like a clerical wife, all those black we used to wear. It got to a point that if you must have your eyes open to be able to, if you sleep, you're gone. Before we left there, 4 people were sick, 6 people are like half conscious. They are almost dead. Mind you, on that night, those people that are half awake are already dead. We've buried them inside the sand.
You buried people there?
Yes, we've buried them inside the sand.
How many of them? 4?
The 6 people that we have, yes. So the 4 that were sick, they are already lean.
"28-year-old Damilola Ajinugba traded in ready-to-wear outfits in Nigeria before she was deceived into traveling to Libya. According to the young lady, her stepmother's friend told her that she would make more sales if she could travel to Egypt to import some of her wares. Unknown to her, the intention was to traffic her to Libya for slavery and prostitution. She shares a story on this fresh episode of my migration story series on Legit TV. My name is Damilola Ajinugba. Welcome on board.
In 2014, July, I was quite okay. I wouldn't say very okay. I was quite okay. I have a shop. I'm selling Red Mage. You know the popular brand then, where they will make kiddies clothes. It's called Red Mage then. So there's this woman that came to our neighborhood during that time, and she quickly became friends of the family because then I was staying with my dad and my stepmom, and we used to stay together in the same house. So she came to me and told me that I can be buying things in wholesales, and if I like it, she would like to take me to where she's getting in wholesales. So I told her that I'm not sure I have that kind of money, so I didn't really buy her idea. Then she used my stepmom. She went to meet my stepmom. I didn't know. It was later on that I found out. So I don't know the discussion they had. Only for me to get home one day and my stepmom called me and told me that there's a lady that came to their place, that she's taking one lady to along, that they want to go to abroad to go and bring goods in large quantities, that even me, it's me that will bring it by myself, so it will be worthwhile. Then I'll be able to supply in hostels and all of that. That if I do that, I will be buying directly like how the Lagos people are buying. There's no need for me to go and buy in Lagos. Then if I can make it big. So we had the discussion back and forth before I finally agreed to go. So in the bid of going, I told the woman that I don't have passport and I don't know how to get one, because since she just told me, I don't know when and how everything will be ready. So she said I should not worry, that I should just give her 50,000 naira, that she will get it on express for me, which I paid her. After paying her, I started selling goods from my shop in drop price so that I'll be able to rally around money. And my stepmother also borrowed money on my behalf to go. Then I had a little girl. She was 8 months then. So all my thoughts, according to what she said, was just drop my girl, go for the journey. Let's say maximum 2 weeks, I'm back and I'm with my baby. So that was how we sold almost everything, and then she borrowed money on my behalf also, so that I can take. The money in total was like close to 500, but not 500 then. So we were able to gather that money, and I gave her some to keep for me and asked her to book a small place for me, or maybe a friend's place that I can rent for that 2 weeks before I move, because she said I should not worry, that there's a friend that we can actually rent one of our rooms, that it wouldn't be as much as the money we will spend when we go and rent an hotel.
A friend over there where you're traveling to?
Yes.
Where did she say you were traveling to?
Egypt.
She said you were going to Egypt.
Yes.
For 2 weeks.
Yes. So I said okay. Then I started preparing. We got to Yanopaja that year, and after getting to Yanopaja, she took me to the metro bus that used to go to east, north, all of that. So I was like, what is this place all about? She said that for quicker access, that she's planning, the plan changed, that we are going to go to Abuja to fly out, that there is no direct flight to Egypt in Lagos. I said okay. So I followed her. So when we got into the car, she's the one that bought food. But when I got there, we were already 6.
Other ladies joined?
Other ladies joined.
Only ladies, all of you?
Only ladies. One was really small. She's like 15 or 14, like that. So I was like, why is she following us? They said she's going to go and meet her sister, according to what they said to me. So they didn't know that the girl actually understands Yoruba. So later on, when they gave us seats, me and the girl was beside each other. The lady was the one that bought food. Me, I didn't really pay much attention, so I was playing music. I put earpiece in my ear and I was trying to relax. So later on, she gave us food and drink, and I kept mine. Me and the girl, we didn't eat immediately. We kept ours. So me and the girl now discuss. We are almost at Ibadan as at that time. We had a discussion.
Going to Abuja?
Yes. So from the discussion is when I knew that it was I wouldn't say stepmom. They gave her to someone to look. Yes, her foster parents, because her parent is late. That actually told her to follow the person, that she didn't really have anybody over there. So I was like, maybe they are going to look for something suitable, or they're going to send her to school over there. So I didn't really think much of it as at that time. So by the time we finished eating, that was like total blackout. When we wake up,
you finished eating and you were unconscious. You didn't know what you were doing again.
I don't even know. The only thing I remember is they woke us up, that we got into one place and we came down, and it was Kano. The reason why is that I understand a bit of Hausa, like a bit, not very much, but a bit. So the way they were talking is Kano tongue that they were speaking. So I was surprised, and I asked the woman. So from there, they took all our phones. They took anybody that has phone. They took our phone and they gave us an hijab to wear, and they directed us. There's already someone waiting for us to come and carry us. So when the person came, the 6 of us go into a particular fort that they have there, and then they called a cab. So when we got to the fort, other people were already there also, male, female, old, young, are also there. We are like about 45 people there. So when we got there, they arranged us into the car and took us to a very remote area in Kano. It's more like a village kind of a thing. So that place they built it's like more like a vast land. There's huts, small huts there, and there's like a main building in the place. So when we got there, they searched us from our head to toe. Men, not women, no. They even put hand in our private parts to check if we are hiding something there or money or anything. So when they searched us and everything, I don't know what the woman was talking about. They called themselves together. So they now said that they were, before I go, that they will buy Gary for me and Milo and tea and this, that. So four people. They shared us four people inside the hut. Four people inside different huts. So me and the girl and one other lady and one man was the one inside that hut. During the week, we've spent like 4 nights there, because when we were unconscious, I could not really recall which day is which day anymore. So I was counting by sun and moon, to make my calculations of how many days we've spent. So on the 4th night, they brought all those how do they used to call these people? They used to carry rice from border. You understand?
Right.
And firewall, yes, that's it.
Oh, okay.
They brought car like that. They arranged all of us and they put like cement like bag on our head and
They
all of
arranged
that.
you in a car.
Yes, they arranged us like the way you arrange like a pack of drink. That's how they arranged us. So they took us from that place.
How many of you, Papa?
I couldn't really count. I was number 16 though.
In a car?
Yes, in the car. I was number
A
16.
saloon car?
Yes.
Like just driver, passenger then?
Then the rest was just, there's no seat there. So you sit down like this, somebody else will sit down beside you, somebody else will sit down, somebody else will sit down until there's no more space.
It was in a car?
Yes, it was in a car. So that's how they arranged us. They took us from there to Niger. So when we get to Niger, we came down there. There's already bike people waiting for us there. They took two people on a bike, and that was how we went there. When we got there, we got to Niger border. When we got to Niger border, it's like there's already a system of how they do their thing, the traffickers, I mean, there. So when we got there, they immediately bring the passport that the woman said she did for me and gave it to me to hold. I opened it and I saw Zainab and all of that.
You changed your name?
Yes,
totally.
they changed my name totally. I know this is not mine, but I could not say anything, because before we left that place, they've already warned us that if you think you're smart, you're just going to die. That's the warning they give us. That's just it. Where we don't have to talk, we shouldn't talk. Where we can talk, we can talk. If they told us that this place that we are going, nobody should talk, we dare not talk. Because the last time one of us tried it, when we passed the place and they got to one place, they beat the hell out of that person. So seeing that terrified all of us, and we were like following their orders. So when we got to the place, the man has already known that we had fake passports, so they calculated how many of us that are there, and they give them like maybe it's 50 CFAs or something like that per person. So that was what they pay, and they returned us back to the car, and that was how we got to one place too. But before we got there, it was like 3rd or 4th day before we get to that place. When we get there, it's like a stop station for everybody coming like that. So when we got there, people are already there. They make contact with the person with our burger. That's how they used to call our traffickers, burger. So when they make contact with them, they call the person Ejo.
Ejo?
Yes.
That's the person's nickname?
Yes. So when they called the person said the money they are trying to put together to bring people to work for them, that they are not able to meet up with the money. So they are going to sell 2 people from the 6 people that are coming on their own and this thing, and they are going to push 4 forward. So they sold one lady like that, and the other man that they added to us, that because the wife strictly said she doesn't want men at all, that he has already told the person that look for people for her that she doesn't want men. we left. When we left there, the four of us got to Gatron. When we got to Gatron, we were there about 2 weeks before it was our turn to go. So, like the first one, it's how they arrange us inside car. It's also how they arrange us inside the locks there. But it's much more worse because some had to sit on petrol, like, and there's like your skin will peel. There's no way you do it, and they arrange us in locks, but we were much more than the car. They arrange us to an extent. They arrange some people on the top of the e-logs. Well, there are like 3 people that are burgers that are coming, so they allow them to sit with the driver and the wine. So that was how the journey was conducted. So we had disasters when we were going. One person died. They threw the body in the desert. Before we get to a particular town where we will not see anybody again from there on. So when we got there, they said people that have money should go and change their money to dinars, because from here on, so our naira and sefa are totally useless. So we had 2,000 that the woman gave us when we were going. So yes, and the driver called me. The driver gave me Milo and milk, sachet Milo, 2 rolls.
Why?
And sachet milk. Remember, I said they stand aside, they were discussing when I was coming. So
Apparently the woman asked me to
give you, basically because they've already collected more than enough from my hand, but they are just being wicked. So when we got there, they gave us 1 keg of 4 liters of water, God knows which water, and the Milo and the milk and Gary. Let's just say like 1.5 plastic Garys inside. So we got back, we arranged back. So this time around, I was so unlucky that they arranged me at the edge of the distance. I was holding stick to stay on in the bus. I almost fell once. 2 people grabbed me before I fell down. So after we passed there, 2 people were unconscious. So the men, they were not willing to like help them or anything. We had to like waste like 1 keg of water over them before we revived them, and we continued our journey. So it got to a point where the man, they lost track of the road with the compass. So and we had little petrol then, because they've like turned away from their main point where we are going. So they dropped us under one tree that we saw in the desert, a very tiny tree there. We were 28, they dropped, and they took the rest back. That if they carry up to that amount, that the tire might be weary, so they dropped us. Unlucky for us, we are among the people that they dropped. But later on, we found out that we are even lucky. Those people, they did not drop. Like their own sufferness is on another level of sufferness. So when they dropped us, they said they are coming back.
28 of you.
Yes, they said they are coming back. The first day, the second, the third, the fourth, the 5th day, we did not see them. So some people, because they thought they were coming back, are using water like the way they used to use when they are on the bus, and eating the way they used to use. So it got to a point that you must have your eyes open to be able to. If you sleep, you're gone. If you sleep, your things are gone. So the clothes that we wear were already cold, and I was in my messes then. So everything was just coming the way it is. So whenever I feel like I'm having a heavy flu, I'll go and bend down in one place and just like groan so that everything will come out before things. Almost everybody was just smelly and everything. Before we left there, 4 people were sick, 6 people are like half conscious. They are almost there. So the 6th day, some people took camel and passed us, and they said that when they get to somewhere and call, they will tell any car they see on the road to come and help us. So we didn't see them throughout that week. We spent 7 days. We didn't see anybody. The ninth day, that was when some people were now passing. They were short on people from there. So when they saw us, they picked only 10 of us. Mind you, on that night, those people that are half awake are already dead. We've buried them inside the sand.
You buried people there?
Yes, we've buried them inside the sand.
How many of them? 4?
The 6 people that we have, yes. So the 4 that were sick, they are already lean, very lean. So they said they are going to call someone to come and pick them. So we left those 4 people. One person volunteered to stay with them. The remaining people that entered the bus were like 10 that we entered the bus. The girl, I think when I was not with the girl would have been gone. Because the girl fell sick, I was nurturing her and everything. Yes, she fell sick, I was nurturing her and everything. So we entered the car together. So at the end of the 14th day, we got to a town, a small town, like the first entry to Libya. When we got there, they stopped us over. It's like a regular stopover there also. There are different people they've brought in. People went to bath. We took turns to go to the bathroom, to bathe, to wash our body and everything. So after bathing, they called each person. They already have like the list of the people coming. So who is dead, who is alive, who is intact, who is not intact. They will call us. By the time they call us in the evening, they now call the person responsible for us, our burger. That okay, yeah, come and talk to your goods. They are already here.
They referred to you as goods.
Yeah, come and talk to your goods. They are already here. So when we talked to them, and they said before 2 to 3 days they are going to move us away from there. So from 4 people now, we are already 3. Because out of the 4 people, 1 person was among the people that died. So we are remaining 3. So by the time we are remaining 3, the woman said that we should just get ready. All those 3 people, we are going to pay their money with our money together. I was like, okay. I just kept on praying. So when we left there, they took us to one malam house. 10 of us also, not with the people we are coming with, but we were just like different mixture, and they took us to that place. We were staying at their boys' quarter. We cleaned their house. At the end of the day, in return, they would give us food. And that's how we spent 1 week there before they now came and called me and that girl and the other one that followed us. So from there we went to Saba. In Saba, there's a ghetto there that they call Bilal Ghetto. We stayed there for 2 months and 3 weeks before it was now our turn to go to Tripoli. So when I was going to Tripoli, they dressed us like a cleric wife, all those black we used to wear. They dressed us like that, and they asked us not to reply anybody when we are going. And we should also pray that we should be lucky to reach Tripoli successfully. Because if we do not reach Tripoli successfully, that they cannot tell what will happen to us from there onward. But thank God we got there successfully. But on getting there, they've already sold me to Arabu. The girl cannot work now, so they kept her at home doing the house chores. But as she's doing the house chores, she's eating, they are buying drugs for her, they are adding it to her money. While the other girl, when they present to her that she has to go to a prostitute's place, that's what they have for her. That's what they project to me initially. I did not even say anything. I didn't talk. I did not reply. I just stand up and walk out. So they beat me, do everything, do like that. Because as at that time, I'm already determined that at least I have a child. So if they are going to kill me, they should go ahead. I can do anything to survive. Prostitution, I cannot do. Because I have given that promise to my late husband then that I would never resort to prostitution.
You lost your husband before you traveled?
Yes. The father of my child actually died. We are not married, but he died due to an accident there. So when it got to a stage that they see that this girl is very stubborn, there's nothing they did that worked out. they call somebody to come and buy me. When the person saw me, the person said, is this the person that you say I should come and buy? This one that is looking like short devil. No, I'm not buying you. So the person left.
How did you understand their language? Were they speaking English or
They were speaking Yoruba.
Yoruba?
Yes.
So that means Nigerians were asking Nigerians to come and buy.
Yes, to come and buy me. That's how they sell us like a commodity. Even the ridiculous amount they sell me to the Arab woman was not even at it at all. They sold me at 120,000 to the man.
120,000
to the man. And when they sold me to the people, because I didn't understand the thing and they have to teach me from scratch, I went through a lot, from abuse to beating and all of that. So there was a time that the wife of the man traveled and the man wanted to like act funny with me. I had to defend myself with a knife. That if he comes near me, I'm just going to stab myself. Everybody should die. So when they come, they will meet two cops. They will try and analyze what happened. So when the man said that I'm very stubborn, so he now used that one to enter the wife. The wife now started, like, before it was bad, now it was worse. That I will have to eat their leftover. Until when I finish that leftover, that's when I can take another new leftover. They did not buy pad for me. I have to cut some of the old clothes they gave me from any of the family that just came and see me that you're still wearing the same clothes, so yeah, let me dash you one cloth. So it's from the old cloth I will cut and make my pad from and everything.
You need sanitary pads for yourself.
Yes. So after staying there for 2 years plus, there's this family of them that actually is a bit educated. That one used to go to Egypt and come back, and she understands English. So when she comes, she's like the life of the house, and that's when we saw I'm bubbly. So she just came that year and she was like, "Are you still here? Come, you spend your money, finish now." She be so here. He said, the people that sold me to her did not ask of me now, so she did not know what to do with me. So the lady now insisted that that they must return me back to where they bring me, that those people should take me back to Nigeria. I didn't even I'll just say, leave me here. So the lady, the way they painted Nigeria to those people, they painted Nigeria like this is the whole Nigeria here.
Like the whole of Nigeria was in Libya?
Like,
or this is what they look like?
In Nigeria, we are from, like, we are known entities. There's nothing more than we are from like the most poorest country in the whole world and all of that. That's how they project Nigeria to them. So when I was going, they gave me like $200 and they were like, this money, use it to do business, something like that, and all of that. I was like, okay, if you say so, at least it's still something if I'm going to change it to Naira. So they took me to my brother's house. On seeing me, they were shocked. They didn't expect to see me ever again. So when I got there, they said, okay. So the wife understand Igbo and a bit of Ondo. So she called one of her friends. They were discussing. When I was with those people, I've already mastered their language. So they were like, there's probability that you know the language, because I was living with them, and the only thing they ever spoke with me until I got it right was their language. So she called the person that she's coming, that they should get ready, this and that. So when we were in the car, she called them and told them that we are coming, this and that. When we got to the market, it's more like an open market. She bought clothes, she bought shoes and everything for me, and she said we should be going. On our way going, they stopped our car. Max Ben stopped our car, and we come down, we entered their car. So when I was asking her what's happening, she said it's because they've not seen me much in the camera in their town. That's why they are being harassed, that I should not worry. So she was now talking to somebody on the phone with Ondo that they should not worry, that they should just call her husband to come and meet them at the usual place.
This woman is a Nigerian too.
To come, that's Ejo.
Ejo?
Yes.
The woman?
No, the man is Ejo. The wife is Miriam.
So the husband and wife were into the business?
Yes. So they said she was now telling them in Ekiti that they should call the husband to come to the usual place, that she should come and take her away from there, that she cannot wait, or she cannot withstand that odor there. So, and the reason why me I understand Ondo was when I was young, when I was in secondary school, I learned tailoring. So my boss was an Ekiti woman, so she usually talks in Ekiti. So from there, I used to mimic her, to make fun of her at her back. So that was how I understood the language. So I knew what was going on, but I just did as if I did not know. So when they come, she said, okay. When we got there, they put me in separate cell. They put her in separate cell. So when the husband came, he came to meet me directly and said, that the wife has already explained to me what happened. That's the reason why that they will come back and come and carry me. So the wife now went away. So the man there, they were in the evening, they were preparing to call us out and give us number and just put us in different cells according to our age. So one of them was now, they called the name. So I now called the man name. I now speak to him in Arab that, why am I here? What is the reason why they hold me down here? He now said, that me, I understand Arab very well, to an extent that me, I'm speaking like an Arab. And now said, I'm just coming out of an Arab house. That's where I used to work. He now said that if I know those people, that I should call them to come. And funny enough, at that time, I was so panicked that I didn't remember the exact number. So I was calling different number. When they were calling them, it was not the voice. So they got tired of me and was like, just go and sit down. We are going to sell you. So they sold me to some boys. Yes, they sold me to some boys. They took us to underground. That place is more like another new word.
Some boys, Nigerians again?
It's not Nigerians. They were they used to call, some are Masurians, some are Libyans. It's like a dawn kind of a thing. Yes, so, yes, like a mafia thing there. So when we got there, there are people there. They told us that if we want to live here, we should call our family to send money to them before we'll be able to leave. So I don't have anybody to send money already, and I've not talked to any of my parents since I've left. I was unable to talk to anybody, so I just said, okay, no problem. I was just there for 8 months. I've become lean, and I was just trying to survive. My own job is to sweep the outside from one place to the other. Our urine is precious. It's a precious water to us, because every 3 days they give us half of the bread. Like, their bread is not like our own bread that you eat, at least you still have something in your stomach. Their bread is like crusty, round, tiny bread like this. That's what they'll give. Right. Just one for the whole people in the cell. And in our cell, we are like 28 in our cell. I think we are up to 28, if not even more than that. So we just, small bites, we just eat. Sometimes that's where we pee, that's where we poo, that's where our blood messes go and everything. It's just like that. Until, lucky for me, one day some of the men came. I was just still praying to God that since I refused to die, most people that they brought here before me have died. Some they shoot them, some is from 100 slap every morning that they die. Some they will take them away, they will not bring them again. One thing should just happen to me, so that I will have peace. That I'm passing through a lot already. So
you were praying to die?
Yes, because it got to a stage that I was like, I lost hope that I'm never going to live there. The place is very strongly secured. It's underground. It's not like it's up that you can plan to escape as usual, that when you are in prison. So when we got there, yes, some men came. They wanted to come and buy some people. So when the men came, I was sleeping. They were like, they cannot buy me, that I'm too lean, that I might die, that I'm not a good market to them, so they cannot buy me. So I now told one of them that they should let me make a call just once. That if I make that call, if that person can, I got the number right, the person will come for me. So when I dialed the number, lucky for me, it just went through. It was Adiza, the lady I told you that I used to go to Egypt and come back. So when I called her, she was like, "Who is this?" When I mentioned my name, what am I doing in Libya? She felt I should have been in Nigeria. That she's even upset with me that I did not call her, I did not tell her, that she told me about Facebook now, that I should have opened Facebook. I was like, okay, that's not the next thing now. Where I am, I don't know, but please talk to these people, they will direct you to the place. So they gave the person the phone. The person now directs them. The person now told me in Arab that, because I understand a bit of Masurian, the person now told me in Masurian that I should relax, that if God willing that I'm going to live here. So I think they had a discussion outside, and those people told them how to get to the place. So when they come, their family is like an ambassador to Egypt, and to Egypt representing Libya, kind of like that. So their family is like an influential one. So when they came with their army, their brown uniform army when they came. So on seeing them on site, the people were terrified. They made a negotiation and they released me to follow them. So they were the one that took me to the hospital, take care of me, and contacted IOM on my behalf before I now came back to Nigeria. I got to Nigeria April 1st, 2019.
You spent 5 years.
Yes, close to 5 years. I went there, I left Nigeria at July in 2014 and came back April 2019.
So your business that you left here, what did you get back to when you got back to Nigeria? I mean, you sold everything already, so how have you picked up your life since then?
When I came back, my parents were disappointed, my family were disappointed. They all thought maybe I found out some like easy life, and I decided to just let go of everything. So my parents were not welcoming at first. I had to go to my former church I used to go to, and I talked to the man of God there, and I was living around the church premises for some time until I moved back home with my parents. So when I got home with my parents, we are not really on good terms. It's just sleep, wake up and go, sleep, wake up and go. So from there I found out one of my old friends, we met up at one place, then we discussed. From there I started staying with my old friend before I went to IOM training. After going to IOM training, when I came back, that was when I started picking up bits by bits.
By the time you returned, your daughter was already 5 years. Did she recognize you?
Not really. She did not. She didn't really recognize me, but like they were showing her pictures of me when I was there, and the way I am now is not even the same thing. I used to be a bit on the bigger size, small, yeah. Not really big, but like more than this.
Bigger than you.
So she wasn't really expecting to see me like this.
You had not seen her in 5 years. I mean, how did you feel when you saw her? She was 8 months when you left, and when you came, she was about 5 years or more.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Honestly, I had mixed emotions. I did not know if I should even introduce myself to her. I first introduced myself to her as her aunt. Then we developed like a relationship. So by December, when I brought that, because when I was coming from, when I brought us back, they gave us 40,000 that time. So I already bought ready-made for her, things that she will use that time for
Christmas?
No, Easter.
Oh, okay.
So I introduced myself as aunt, and I gave her those gifts. So we became quite close, bit by bit before my aunt now sat her down and tell her that that's your mommy, I'm not your mommy, this is your mommy. She went to somewhere before, but your mommy is back now. She's your mommy. Me, I'm not your mommy. So she's not really responsive at that time, but later on she came around.
Did you go to school? What's the level of education?
When I left, honestly, I didn't really know anything. So when I came back, initially if I was around, I know I would have put my daughter in school way earlier before they did. So she was still in nursery 1 when I came back.
How about your education?
I did not do more of pursuing education. I just want to do something for myself that will keep income coming. I'll be able to take care of my child and myself.
So what have you been doing since you came back? Since 2019?
I've been trying to, through IOM help, the first support they gave me before the COVID hit, that was early, uh, late 2020. I used it to bags, shoes, earrings, and all of that I was selling. And it was actually because I know my way around it, I was able to like catch on quickly. Then with the help of someone that was close to me then that I was dating, the person supports me and I bought the freezer. So from there I was a bit broke. Early January, I all the money I've been saving for contribution, I gather all of them together and I bought generator also. So not knowing that COVID will hit. So when I bought those things, I did not have money to do business or even anything. So when COVID came, there was nothing to do. There was nothing to sell, there was nothing to do. So when COVID hit, I had the idea that since I have generator and I have deep freezer, I should just look for somebody to help me put everything together and just start something with it. So I started selling pure water with it. That was what I do. There's a woman that's selling sales near me, and thank God for Sister Temi. We'll come to her, she'll give me a pack or 2 packs and pure water 2 bags. We'll take it there. When we finish selling, we'll go and pay the money, we'll collect another one. That was how I survived through 2020. And because that time I went for like another training that was giving a really good grant, but I don't know, the case manager had issue. Up till now I have not gotten the grant. It was close to 800, so I haven't seen any help. So I don't know. The man said they had an accident with the family and he could have given my case to another person to handle for me, but God knows best. For now I'm still struggling and I'm trying to like do something to myself. The past few months have been crazy on me because when I came back I tried to move on and I was in another relationship, but it was tough on me and the family was just crazy. Then I went through a phase of like divorce and I had nowhere to go. I had to pick up from on start again. I was suicidal because it got to a point I could not even feed my child, talk less of me. So I took my child to a family place to go and stay there and I was trying to manage myself. That's everything.